of when addressing a problem, instead of addressing it from what you call the level of the problem, you advocate addressing it from a place of expanded awareness. And so I'm hoping you can tell us a little bit about what the difference between these two might be.
Good. So let me start out with something that you will be very familiar with, okay? Because all of you deal with information, in a sense. When my wife was pregnant with our first child, Malika, who's sitting in the audience, my chief resident called me and he said, I just took your wife's blood sample and it shows a thalassemia minor trait. So I went and looked at the blood sample, and sure enough, the cells were not what you see normally. It took me 2 days to go to the library to track where I could find that information. And then I was in New Jersey, then I had to go to the public library in New York, and it took me another 2 days. And what I discovered was very exciting, and that is that blood trait existed along the exact route that the armies of Alexander the Great took in 323 BC from Greece, from Macedonia to India. That the trait, and of course I told my wife, it seems like your ancestors were screwing around. But it took me 5 days to get that information. Today I could go to Google and take me less than a minute. I'd get to some sites and then from there go to other sites, and in a minute I'd have that information. So what does information do? Information expands our awareness of what is, okay? And so through the Google network, which is the biggest search engine, we expand our awareness. But there's another thing that people don't understand. Our state of awareness actually chooses the information that we seek out, okay? So if my state of awareness says, I want to understand the causes of war, terrorism, global warming, social injustice, economic injustice, all the things that are kind of surfacing now as what's happening in Syria and all the Middle East, the so-called Arab Spring, Occupy Wall Street, then my state of awareness, looking at this global picture, will seek out the right information. Okay, so they co-feed on each other. The information expands awareness, but the state of awareness also expands the information we seek.
Sure.
And if by awareness I mean spirituality, which is my definition, then awareness has many more components than information. Awareness influences your moods. So, if you're depressed, then everything looks dark and bleak. It influences your beliefs. It influences your assumptions. It influences your perceptions. It influences your expectations. So in the book, my thesis is that all problems exist because of what I call contracted awareness. Okay? Contracted awareness means you feel separate from the ecosystem. The Google network is an ecosystem. So you feel separate from the ecosystem that nurtures the web of relationships. And that then, of course, results in fear, in anxiety, in expectations that are doomsday prophecies, in assumptions that everything is going to go wrong, and so on and so forth. So in my mind, the analogy is you're walking in a dark room, and you have a candle, that's the light of your awareness, and you keep bumping into stuff. And so everything's a problem. And that's your world. But now imagine that you can expand that candle's light of awareness. So now you have a flashlight, and you can move around, and everything that seemed like an obstacle actually has a purpose. This has a purpose. This has a purpose. That screen has a purpose. So all problems are now opportunities for some purpose. So that's expanded awareness. You now feel connected to the web of relationships, the network of relationships, which is exactly what Google is. It's a network of relationships, okay? So I like to use the Google example here. But then imagine another state, which I call pure awareness. It's called pure awareness in Eastern wisdom traditions. And here now you're in the same room, but all the walls are transparent, glass, and the room, including the ceiling and the floor. And the room is flooded with sunlight. And you look outside, and the whole world is your playground. There are no problems, and therefore no need for solutions. You are the creative evolutionary impulse of the universe. And so you play. You're in flow. Every situation is a conspiracy of the total universe. And so the thesis of my book is problems arise in contracted awareness. Solutions emerge automatically in expanded awareness. And then when you have pure awareness, which is awareness without boundaries, no conceptual boundaries, then it's pure creativity. That's the basis of this book. And you can apply these principles. You don't even actually have to read the book if you understand the principles. You can apply these principles whether you want material success, want to improve the quality of your relationships, want to have an understanding of insight, intuition, imagination, creativity, inspiration, which is spirituality, higher consciousness, or whether you want to solve mundane, easy problems. Nobody's addressing the problems at a higher state of awareness than the awareness that created the problems. And that quote of mine is from Einstein. He said, no problem can ever be solved at the level of awareness at which it was created. It's a long answer.
Fantastic.
But it's the summary of the book.
So then let me ask you, I find it also easier to speak of awareness